Okay, hello and welcome now to lecture 61. And yeah, let's have a go at doing our floors. We'll start upstairs with our polished concrete floors. I was just looking at this. I really like our render. I think that's looking really good now in our HDRI light. That's really popping, so I'm pleased with that. Anyway, I'm digressing. So let's grab our floor and let's hit the / key to isolate that. And I think next thing to do is let's check the scale, and it's fine. So let's tap into edit mode, press A for all, and U, and let's do a smart UV project. Make sure you've got an island margin and unwrap. And there we go, and it's right there, and it's all neat and looking good. Okay, I'll tap out of edit mode now, and let's grab this item, and let's hit the plus key, and let's add new. So let's name this material polished concrete. There we go. And click enter. And we've got our material. There we go. Let's find our principal BSDF, select that, go over to the node wrangler and add principal setup. Let's find our textures. So it's right there for me, and wherever it is for you, just click on it. And we'll go to stone and tile, and we'll go to polished concrete. We'll press A to grab all of them and go ahead and principal texture setup. And there we go. And we've added that, and that's what it looks like. So now that we've done that, let's actually just have a look at this and see what we want to do. So I think the first thing I want to do is make sure that object is connected to the vector. And there we go, that looks better straight away. And now let's have a look at the scale. The scale actually isn't too bad, and let's try increasing that. Incidentally, if you just click on the arrow here on the top one and then just scroll down, you can then just drag and increase or reduce your scale. And let's see what we want, and I'm thinking something like, let's try a bit more. There we go. About a 0.5 looks good to me. Alright, so that's our first layer of polished concrete. And maybe we could take a look at the normal maps and see if there's anything. I'll leave that alone. Let's look at our displacement, see if we want to do anything with that. Let's try increasing our mid-level displacement. And let's leave that there, but let's have a look at the BSDF now. And I think the IOR, we'll leave that at around 1300. And we could try maybe adding a coat to this. So let's click on the coat, add a bit of weight to the coat. And add a tiny bit of roughness to that, and a tiny bit of IOR, and we'll leave that just like that. Okay, so that's the basis of our polished concrete, and it looks pretty good, but I want to go a stage further with it. So what I'm going to do now is actually select it all, and let's press Shift D, and we'll move that down. I don't have my gizmo, so I'm going to just press escape for a second and click on this one. Don't know why my gizmo was off, and there we go, so the gizmo's on now. So if you ever have that issue, just go ahead and turn your gizmo on there. And with that now, I'll just bring down this layer I've just created down just a tiny bit. Let's have a look at it up close and see where it is, and I just want that just underneath the first layer. And there we go, that's kind of where I want it. Once I got that, I'll select it, and in this case I'm going to go ahead and delete the material. So I'll come up here and hit the minus key, and there we go. So we still have the layer on top, but not the layer underneath. Okay, with the layer top now layer selected, what I want to do is turn the alphas all the way down to make it completely transparent for a moment. There we go. And now select the layer on the bottom And let's click on the plus key here to add a material and click new. And let's call this material rough concrete. And click enter. Select the BSDF, add principal setup, and let's find our rough concrete. Here it is. And we'll press A for all. And we'll go ahead and add principal texture setup. And there we go. So we have that selected, and that's good. So again, make sure the object is in vector. There we go. And let's have a look at that. That's looking pretty good. But let's try reducing the scale maybe. And see what we get. And am I happy with that? Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Let's try UV again into vector. And no, that doesn't work. I'll go back to object into vector. I think now, with that done, I'm actually going to select the top layer, which is our polished concrete. I'm going to go back up to the alpha, and now I'm going to increase this. So what we're going to get is almost a double layer in our concrete, so that it feels like there's a bit more going on. So on the top we still have our polished concrete, but under that we have more speckling, so it's going to have some depth to it, and that's the look I was after, so that there's just more going on. I'll try reducing that alpha. And I'll try reducing the IOR on this one, maybe 1100, I don't know, around about there. We'll try that. And we can see what we've got. Maybe increase the IOR a bit. Leave it at 13. And you can see the two layers in that, and that's really cool. You have the polished swirly surface, and underneath you have the gravelly texture. And I think I'm really pleased with that. That's the kind of look that I was after. Alright, that's cool. So let's bring everything back and see how that looks. And see how that looks in place. And yeah, that's a really nice polished concrete floor. We could try reducing the roughness or increasing the roughness slightly of our coat. And let's have a look at this IOR, see if we want to reduce it a little bit. I want some reflection, but I don't want detail loss because the IOR is too high. And there we go. When we get some extra lights on this scene, I think that's going to look really, really, really good. Okay, so let's try for the next one now. So let's select this one. Whoops, not that one. This one right here, and let's hit the / key to isolate that, and we're just going to repeat the process now, really. So let's go ahead and check the scales, and they're all good. We'll tap into edit mode, we'll press A and then U, and let's go ahead and do a smart UV project. Make sure you got an island margin and unwrap. Okay, so what we maybe do straight away now is let's tap out of edit mode, grab this one, and then we'll press Shift D, and we'll press G and Z, and take that down just a tiny bit to about there, like that. So again, we've got the two layers on that. Alright, let's grab the top layer, and let's hit the plus key, and we'll hit the drop down here, and we'll type in polished concrete. And there it is, and we'll select that and see what we get. And there we go. So the scale we'll leave alone. The settings are all correct now. Alright, so let's select the one underneath now. And let's go ahead and hit the plus key. And let's hit the drop down and we'll type in rough. And there it is. Where is it? Rough concrete. And we'll add that too. And there we go. We've instantly got our dual layer in the floor. And I think it's looking great. It's a little bit lost when we bring the building back because it's still very dark in there. But when you see it like this, I think that's really popping. I'm pleased with that. Okay, so let's do the last one. So let's hit the / key to bring everything back. And let's grab our last polished concrete floor. This one here. Let's check the scale and it's all good. Let's hit the / key to isolate. And now let's tap into edit mode with that. And let's press A. And let's press U. And let's go for Smart UV Project and unwrap. And there we go. Okay, so let's tap out of edit mode with that now. And let's press Shift D. And we'll press G and Z and take that down just a tiny bit. And we'll see where that one is. And is it just below the surface? And yeah, that's cool. Okay, so let's select the one on top and let's hit the plus key and let's hit the little drop down here and let's look for polished concrete. There it is, and we'll click on that and there we go, that's done. Select the one underneath, hit the plus key and we'll hit the little drop down and we'll type in rough, and there it is, rough concrete, and we'll add that as well. And there's our dual layer finish in our polished concrete floor. Okay, so let's hit the / key to bring everything back. And there we go. So there's our polished concrete floors on our upper level. And yep, they're looking really good. I'm pleased with those. Okay, so have we got time to do the ground floor? I think we do. Let's take a look at that next. Okay, so let's select our floor and let's tap into edit mode. Let's isolate the item using /. Let's check the scale and the rotation and it's all good. So let's tap into edit mode and we'll press A and U and we'll go for a Smart UV Project. And since it's really a cube, you could argue that we don't need to do this, but I'm just kind of doing it on principle, and we'll go ahead and unwrap. Okay, so let's tap out of edit mode and let's go ahead and hit the plus sign and we'll click on new and we'll call this ground floor tile. I misspelled that, excuse me a sec. And there we go, ground floor tile. Now that we've got that, let's click on the Principle BSDF. Let's add Texture Principle Setup. Find your textures wherever they are. And let's go to Stone and Tiles and Floor Tiles. Let's click on that. Let's press A for all. And we'll go ahead and add Principle Texture Setup. And there we go. So it's good, but I'm not happy with the scales. So let's come on over. And again, if you just hit the arrow on the top one and now drag down to the others, now we can adjust in multiple. And I'll bring that to, I think, about there, like that. And that's looking pretty good. I think I'm pleased with that overall. I think the only thing I'd like to do is try and even up the tiles this way. So I'll tap into edit mode with this. And now I'll grab the whole thing and select it here and just try moving it over just to try and centralize the gaps on either side. And that already is better. And yep, let's leave it about there. I think that's fine. Okay, so let's tap out of edit mode and let's bring everything back. And that was real easy to get our ground floor in, and that's looking really good. I think I'm pleased with the shine on that. I won't mess around with that. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so that's our floors in, and that's the end of this lecture. So I think in the next lecture, let's start assigning our teak materials to our bathroom. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 62. And in this lecture, let's have a go at applying our materials to our bathroom, all that sort of cedar that we're going to put on all our paneling and our mirror in there. So the first thing we need to do is sort of be able to see in there. So let's go to our outliner and let's sort of open up the first floor, and let's turn off the first floor walls, and let's turn off the roof, middle roof and the roof. So we just have this paneling and then the mirror, and that's all we have. Alright, so once we've done that, let's go ahead and apply some materials to this. And I'm going to show you something I've not showed you before, which is a faster way of applying materials to components. So I'll select the floor, and we'll check the scale, and it's all good. And we will tap into edit mode, and we'll press A and U, and we'll do a smart UV project. Make sure you have an island margin and unwrap, and there we go. So let's zoom in on this and see that the UV map's looking good, and it is. So once we've done that, we can actually then just come on over here and hit this little drop down here in the texture editor and see if you can find the cedar, and there it is. And because we only have one material to comply to this component, and we've already made this material before, we can simply just apply it right here without coming over here and hitting the pluses and everything. Much quicker. So now that we've done that, we can see that the grain direction in that cedar is running the wrong way. So let's press A for all and come over to the UV map, and we'll press R, 90, and enter. And let's see what that looks like. And that's looking good. That was really easy. That grain's looking absolutely spot on. I'll tap out of edit mode with that one, and that one's done. Okay, so I think next one is, let's grab this one here and check the scale, and it's all good. So we'll tap into edit mode, we'll press A and U, and we'll go for smart UV project. Make sure you get an island margin and unwrap, and there we go. There's the UV maps looking clean. Okay, now that we've done that, hit this little drop down, look for the cedar, and that's it, that's applied. And again, the grain direction is all wrong, so we'll press A, we'll grab it over here, and we'll press R, 90, and type enter. And that's done. We'll tap out of edit mode with that, and that's looking good. Okay, now we just have the ceiling to do, so let's grab that. Check the scales, and it's all good. Tap into edit mode, we'll press A, and then U, and we'll do a smart UV project and unwrap. And the UV maps are good, so we'll hit the little drop down and we'll grab cedar, and that's it. I'll imagine the grain direction's the wrong way. Let's zoom in and have a look, and it is. So let's press A, let's grab it over here, and we'll press R, 90, and type enter, and there we go. Okay, you can see how quick that is to do. We've just applied all the materials to the bathroom in just a matter of minutes. So the only one that's kind of left now is the mirror, so let's do that next. Let's actually just click on. So let's come over here now, and we'll hit the plus sign, and we'll click on the new, and we'll call this the mirror. And there we go. So we can actually make a mirror just with the Principal B SDF really simply, because a mirror is just a reflective surface with no imperfections, so we can do that really easy. So let's take the roughness down to, well, 0, and let's take the metallic up a little bit, which will just naturally give us a little bit of reflection anyway. I'll take it up about a quarter. Obviously that's not enough, so now we'll take the IOR up a lot. We're going to take this up to, I would say, at least 800 or 900. In fact, I'll just max it out to 1000. There we go. And that's our mirror. That's that easy. So let's play around with metallics, see if we want to do anything else with it. And I'll just leave that about there. Okay, so that's our bathroom done. Super easy, super quick. So let's bring everything back. So let's bring back the first floor walls and the middle roof and the main roof. And remember to do a save, so I'll press Control S. And that was probably one of our shortest lectures. We could go on in this lecture and apply materials in the bedrooms, but I think we'll just call it a day with this lecture right here, and we'll pick up applying materials to the wooden surfaces in the bedrooms in the next lecture. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 63. And in this lecture, let's go ahead and apply some of our wooden surfaces in our bedrooms. Let's go ahead and do those. So again, let's actually go over to the first floor. And let's go ahead and turn off the roof and the middle roof and the walls so we can see our wooden surface a lot more clearly. And make sure that we have material properties turned on. And let's see what we can do. So I think I'll start with this structure here first. So I'll go ahead and grab that. And I'll hit the plus key and I'll click on new. And I'll call this walnut bed frame. There we go. And I'll click enter. And there we go. Then I'll grab the Principal BSDF, and I'll add the Principal setup in the Node Wrangler. And I'll click on the drop down here, find the textures wherever they are, click on wood, walnut bed frame, I'll click on that to expand it, I'll press A, and I'll click on Principal texture setup. And there we go. So I did forget to apply the UV map, so let's do that. So we'll click on the item, tap into edit mode, press A and U and Smart UV Project. Make sure you have an island margin and click on unwrap. And let's see what we've got. And I think we need to work on the scale on that. So I'll zoom in so I can see it nicely. And I'll press A for all. And I'll grab everything in the UV map and hit S and just go ahead and scale this up. And I think I need to adjust the scale in this, so I'll come over to the mapping node and I'll hover over the first one, click here on the arrow, and then just drag down the mouse, and with the left button still sort of pressed down, I'll just move this and go ahead and adjust the scale. And let's leave it something like that, because then also let's rotate the grain. So I'll press A for all, grab the UV map, press R, rotate 90 degrees, and press enter. And now let's try that again and see what we've got. And obviously that's better. So I'll do the same now. I'll just hover over the top arrow here, hold down the left button, drag to the bottom, and then just move it along until we get something that we're looking for. Starting to look better. And I'd say that's looking good just there. I'll leave that just like that. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. That's looking pretty good. So I do want to also look at this end here. Is that okay? And yeah, that's looking good. I'm liking that. So the grain here on this end is incorrect, but we'll never see that. So I'll leave that alone because we will kind of see this edge. And let's just have one last little look at this and maybe just try again. See if there's a sweeter spot. How is that there? And yeah, I'll leave that just like that. I think I'm pleased with that. So I'll tap out of edit mode with that and see how that looks. And that's looking good. I'm pleased with that. Okay, so let's apply that same material to our skirting board here. So I'll check the scale and it's actually out. So I'll press Control A. And we want to correct the rotation and scale. So I'll click on this and there we go. I'll tap into edit mode with it all still selected. I'll press A and I'll press U and I'll go for a Smart UV Project and I'll click on Wrap and there we go. I'll hit the little drop down here and I'll find the walnut bed frame, there it is, and I'll click on that and let's see what we got. Okay, so let's actually grab everything and let's press R and rotate it 90 degrees and click enter and see what we get. And we need to adjust the scale, but remember we can't adjust the scale here now in the mapping node unless we created a separate material. But I don't really want to do that, so I'll just press A and I'll come over to the actual UV map and I'll grab it all and I'll just press S and I'll try scaling that. Try scaling it down to increase the scale. And let's see what that looks like. And we can press A again. And I've tried just rotating it slightly. Just ever so slightly. Just to get something a bit more random going on. And I think that's cool. This panel here, we need to rotate that one. So I'll press R, 90, and type enter. And see what that looks like. And that's good. And we can press A again and just try scaling that again now. And it's just about really finding the sweet spot. I might scale it up just in the Y, so I'll press S and Y and just try scaling it up this way a bit. And there we go, that's cool. That's fine now, I'm liking that. I'll tap out of edit mode with that one and there we go. That's the walnut skirting done. Okay, so the next thing to do is head over to the other bedroom now. So I'll move over there and I'll press Shift B and I'll recenter Blender on this one here. And let's see what we're going to do with this. So I'll grab this top bed frame here, check the scale and the rotation's out. So I'll press Control A and apply rotation and scale. And now let's go ahead and tap into edit mode with it. And we'll press A for all. And U, and we'll go for a Smart UV Project and we'll unwrap. Let's sort of zoom in on the UV map so we've got that right. And let's go ahead and hit the plus key here, add new material, and we'll call this material Light Oak. And there we go, we'll hit enter. Once we've done that, let's find the Principled BSDF, click on it, and add the principal setup in the Node Wrangler. And let's find our Light Oak material. There it is, Light Oak Distress. Let's click on that. And we'll press A for all, and add Principled Texture Setup. I think first thing we actually need to do is rotate the whole thing. So I'll grab everything in the UV map. I'll press R, 90, and type enter. And there we go. And let's see what that looks like. Let's just zoom in on it and see what we've got. And I might just turn the displacement down quite a lot. So here in the displacement, let's turn the scale down a little bit to maybe a 1. There we go. And the mid-level, maybe turn that down to a 3, and that's helped that a little bit. So I think first of all now, let's just press A again. And let's just try scaling this a little bit just to get something that we like. And I think that's looking pretty good now. I'm going to leave that alone. So I'll tap out of edit mode with that and just see what the results are. And that's looking good. Okay, so now what? Let's grab this one maybe. And let's look at the scale and it's all good. So let's tap into edit mode with it. And let's press A for all. and let's press U, and let's go for a Smart UV Project, and click on Unwrap, and there we go. So what we can do now is hit the little drop down here, and we can look for Light Oak, and there it is. Let's assign it. And we can press A for all, and let's go ahead and rotate everything in the UV map. 90, and type enter, and let's see what we got. I'm going to press Shift B just to recenter Blender. It's running a little slow. There we go. And see what we got. And this is kind of a distressed surface. That's kind of the look I was going for. I'll hit the tab key just to tap out of edit mode for a minute, just to give us some detail and see if it's looking good. And I think I'm going to leave it right there. The grain direction's looking good, and the scale is looking good. I'm going to leave that right there. But this middle panel is supposed to be a different surface, so let's tap back in again. And let's grab this middle surface here. And let's come on over here now and hit the plus key. And let's click on New. And we'll call this Quilted Leather. And there we go, we'll hit enter. And that's our new material. Let's go over to the BSDF and click on that. Go to the Node Wrangler, add Principled Texture Setup. And let's go find our textile materials. Find our Quilted Leather. We'll press A for all and hit the Principled Texture Setup. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and press the Assign, and there we go. So let's just grab this one here now, and let's press S in the UV map just to reduce the size of this by increasing the scale of the object. And see how that looks. And I just want to check the normal maps on this. I'll select this object and I'll come over to this one and face orientation, and it looked like the normal was out. I was right. So I'll select this item here. I'll go to mesh, go to normals and flip this one, and there we go. We'll turn the face orientation back off again, and that's looking better. Okay, so are we happy with that? Is that all good? Am I happy with the scale? I think I want to scale it up just in the y-axis, so I'll press S and Y and just scale it up a little bit more like that, and there we go. That's much better. Okay, so I'll tap out of edit mode with this one, and I don't see the need to do that again, so I'm literally going to delete this one here, and I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to press 3 on the numpad, and I'm going to press Alt D and Y and bring this copy over now to the opposite side like this. And there we go, that's done. So I think the only thing that remains to do is apply that same quilted material now to this panel here. So I'll select this panel and I'll go ahead and hit the little drop down here, and we will find the Quilted Leather, and it's right there, and we'll assign, and there we go. So let's check maybe the normals on this one too, or let's just go ahead and do it. Let's just try that. So we'll hit the little drop down and hit face orientation, and no, that's all good in this case. So I'll turn face orientation off. We'll tap into edit mode and we'll just try a UV map on it. So we'll press A and we'll press U and we'll go for Smart UV Project and unlock, and there we go. Let's grab everything in the UV map here and hit S, and we'll try to scale this down a little bit like this. And we'll try, and we'll press A again, and we'll try scaling it down in the X. We'll press SX. And now we'll try SY. And we'll click off so we can see it clearly. And there we go. I think that's good. I think we're looking good. Tap out of edit mode so we can see it more clearly. And yeah, that's looking good. I'm pleased with that now. Okay, so that's our wooden surfaces finished in our bedrooms. So, oh no, it's not. Look at this. I missed one. I'm too keen. Let's do the skirting board here as well. So let's, and I'll press A for all, and U, and let's go for a smart UV project and unwrap. And there we go. So now that we've done that, let's hit the little drop down here, and we'll search for light oak. And we'll grab it just here like this. Alright, so now let's rotate it. So let's grab it all and press R and 90 and type enter. And the scale is looking a little bit off, but remember we can't adjust the scale here because that's going to adjust the scale on our bedroom panels. So let's press A again and let's hit S here on the maps and just scale this up and see if we can get a good result. And how does that look? I think that's looking good. I think I'm pleased with that. That's looking just, or is it a little big? I think it's a little big actually. Let's press A again and let's press S and scale this up a little bit more. Let's have a look at that. And yeah, that's looking better. I'm pleased with that now. Okay, I'll tap out of edit mode with that. And that's the skirting board done. Let's have a look to see if the maps are correct on the side, and they are. And yeah, that's absolutely fine. Alright, so that is basically all the textures finished now on the upper level. So let's go ahead and turn those back on again so we're all finished. And in the next lecture, let's start applying the materials now to our sofa and to our TV wall just here. Okay, so let's save this. So let's press Ctrl S. And I'll see you in the next lecture. Thanks very much. Bye-bye now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture, what are we on now? 64. We're on lecture 64. So I think in this lecture, let's start applying our materials now to our ground floor. We're done with upstairs now. I think most of our materials are applied. So yeah, let's start looking at the ground floor and see what we can do. So first of all, let's hide the first floor. So let's compress the first floor file and go ahead and hide that. There we go. And let's select this item now. And I think we'll just hide this individually. So I'll just hit H to take that away like that. And I want to work on this sort of feature wall here. And we might as well apply this sort of metal material to this sort of pocket door track as well. So let's go ahead and do those. Let's work first of all on the pocket door track. So I'll select that. And let's check the scale and it's okay. And I don't know if you remember or not, but we actually use the Alt-D command to create these ones above. So when we create the material for the bottom one, or when we make the material for the bottom one, the top ones will automatically have the material on them as well. So let's check the scale and it's all good. So let's tap into edit mode and we'll press A and we'll go for press U. We'll smart UV project. Make sure you've got an island margin and go ahead and unwrap. Once you've done that, we already have created a stainless steel material, so let's just use that on these lower ones. So let's select it here, and let's type in here stainless, and stainless, there it is. And let's see if that's applied. And yeah, that's looking absolutely fine to me. We're all done with that. And the material's been applied to the top ones as well. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is kind of recenter on this area here. So I'm going to get Blender to sort of refocus here. So I'm going to press Shift B. That'll give me that selection window. And I'll just scroll over this area like this to zoom in. And there we go. So let's sort of make a material now for this walnut, these panels here. So let's select these and check the scale and it's all good. So let's tap into edit mode. And let's press A to select all, press U, and let's go for a Smart UV Project. Make sure you've got an island margin, and then go ahead and unwrap. So there's our UV map. There's a lot of faces there, but we kind of expected that. Or a lot of islands is the correct term. But we knew they'd be there, so that's okay. So now that we've done that, we can actually hit this little drop down here, because I'm going to use the material we used on our bed frame upstairs, the dark walnut colour. So I'm going to hit this little drop down because we already have the material, and I'll type in here walnut, and we have that, the walnut bed frame. I'll click on that, and there we go. So it looks like the grain direction is incorrect. It looks like it's running horizontally. So I'll zoom in on our UV map and select everything, and I'll press R, 90, and click enter, and there we go. Okay, so let's have a look at that now, and it's okay, but we kind of do have some repeat knots, which just doesn't look very realistic. And we could try just scaling the UV maps, but I think in this case I'd like to adjust the mapping nodes here, but I can't just do that. If I adjust these mapping nodes, the material that's applied upstairs on that bed is going to be all wrong. So we need to create a new material using this one here. So we can do that. If we actually come up here now and come over to this one here, we can create a new material but with this node setup. So I'll click on that there. And now this is called Walnut Bed Frame 01. It's a duplicate of the one we have upstairs. So if we adjust this one now, the one upstairs will stay as it is. So I think the first thing to do is let's default the scale here so we start again. So I'm going to select the top one, and I'm going to press down the left button and just drag down to all of them, and I just bring that down to the 1000. So we kind of have a starting place. I mean, we could have just scrolled down slowly and, whoops, about the 1000. There we go, that's where we want to be. We could have just scrolled down slowly, but I like to start at the default and then work up. Probably maybe there's no logical reason. It's just one of those things that I do, and I'm kind of passing it on. I don't know. So I'll hit the tab key now to tap out of edit mode so we can see these more clearly, because we've got the material here. And now I'm going to just hold down the left button again and just drag down over the X and Y. I don't really need the Z, and I'm going to scale up. And see what we get. So, am I happy around there? Around the 15,000. Let's zoom in on this and kind of see what this looks like. And we've got some nice patterns in that now. That's looking pretty nice. I think I'm liking that. We got no repeats, which is quite important, because they'll really stick out if this thing's just obviously repeating along. And I'm not seeing that, so that's nice. We could try just upping the number a little bit. And what's that looking like? That's looking pretty good. And what we could do now is we could actually tap into edit mode with this. And we could press A to select everything. That'll give us our UV map. And I'm just going to press R, and I'm just going to rotate it just ever so slightly so that the grain in the walnut isn't just perfectly straight. And I'll tap out of edit mode again. And there we go. That's looking good. And yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. I'll leave that just there. So let's just go over to the IOR now and see if we want to increase the reflection in this just a little bit to make it look slightly different to upstairs. And let's have, maybe we leave it at around 18, 19. And yeah, I think I'm happy with that now. That material's just fine. So now we can apply the material to this panel here and just decide whether we need to create a separate material again, or if this scale will work on these. So I'll grab this and let's check the rotation and the scale, and it's all good. So let's hit the edit mode, let's hit the tab key, and we'll press A, and we'll press U, and let's go for a Smart UV Project. Make sure you got your island margin and go ahead and unwrap. And there we go, we should have our islands all laid out now on our UV map. There we go. So again, we already have the material, so let's hit this little drop down here. And let's find walnut. And we're looking for the walnut bed frame 01, which is the material we've just used here. And let's click on this. And the end grain, the sort of grain direction is all wrong, as we suspected it would be. So let's zoom out on the map and grab all of it. And we'll press R, 90, and click enter. And the scale just, we can see repeats in the knots, and that's just not something I want. We could try just using the UV map to scale up. Let's try that. So I'll press A, and let's hit the S key and just reduce the size of the UV map, which will increase the scale of the texture. And let's have a look at that around there maybe, and see what we've got. And that's looking pretty good actually. I don't think I mind that at all. I mean, I don't see any obvious, yes, we've got some knots there, but they don't look particularly obvious. We could press A again, and we could try just scaling up just in the X, just a bit, to make it slightly more random. Or maybe scale it down slightly more in the X. And let's see what that looks like. And there we go, that's looking pretty good. I think I'm liking that overall. Yep, I'm happy with it. I'll tap out of edit mode, and I'll leave that just like that. So that's our material applied now to these panels here. Okay, so what do we need to do next? Oh, we have this one here as well, so let's select this one. And let's check the scale. The scale's fine, so let's hit the edit mode button. We'll press the tab key, and we'll press A and U, and we'll go for a Smart UV Project, and we'll unwrap. So we'll hit the little drop down here now, and we'll look for our Walnut 01, Walnut bed frame 01, and apply that. So I think then let's go ahead and grab everything and rotate it. So we'll press R, 90, enter. And let's have a look at the scale on that. And yeah, it's repeating. I don't like that. So I'll press A for all again. And I'll just hit the S key and I just bring this down in size. And let's see what that looks like. And I think that's looking fine. I'll tap out of edit mode to get a nice clear view of that. And see, so we have, we do have a set of knots there, so I don't like that. So I'm going to tap back into edit mode with this and press A. And I'm just going to try moving this maybe over in the Y axis just slightly. See if we can eliminate that set of knots and maybe just rotate it ever so slightly. And let's see what we got there now. And by rotating it, that means possibly that that set of knots will just sort of fade out of the map because they've just run off the UV map, and that's what we seem to be getting there. I'll tap out of edit mode just to check that out. And yeah, I think I'm happy with that. That's fine now. So the next one now is this actual panel which is directly behind the TV. So let's select this and check the scale. Scale's all good, so we'll tap into edit mode with it. And we'll press A, and then U, and then Smart UV Project. Check the Isla margins, okay, and then unwrap. And now we're going to create a new material, so let's hit the plus key here, and select new. And let's call this the marble. And type enter. Let's select our principal BSDF. Let's add the principal setup in the Node Wrangler. Find where your textures are. Mine's right here. And we'll go to stone and tiles. We'll select marble. We'll press A so all these are selected and hit the principal texture setup. And let's have a look at that and see what we got. It's looking pretty good. Do I want to do anything with that? So I'll press A again to select all, and I'll grab everything in the UV map. And I'm just going to hit R and rotate this a little bit because, I mean, there isn't really a direction for marble, so we'll leave that maybe something like that. And is the scale okay? I'd say the scale's a little big. These cracks look bigger than they should be. So what I'm going to do is just go over to our mapping node and select all of them, and then let's try just reducing the scale maybe, or increasing the scale. I'll zoom out on this and see what we like, and that's not bad actually at 4,000. I'd say 3. Do I like that? I think I do like that. I think 3's a nice number for that. So let's just actually see about the IOR now and see if I want to do something with this. I'll tap out of edit mode with it so I can see it nicely and see what the reflectability is already like at 1500. And it's already got some quite nice reflections in it actually. But I'll just try playing around with this. Maybe at 2000 or 1.9. I think I'll leave that just there at the 1.9 mark. I think I'm happy with that. Quite a lot of reflections, but I quite like that. And the TV will be directly in front of this, and I'm going to backlight the TV, so that should just create some extra depth to everything. Okay, so the only other bit of marble we have is this little hearth type thing here, so I'll grab this. Check the scale, it's all good, so I'll tap into edit mode. I'll press A, and then U, Smart UV Project, and unwrap. Then I'll hit this little drop down here, and we'll find the marble material. There it is, and select that. Let's tap out of edit mode and just see what that looks like. And I think that's absolutely fine where it is, just like that. So we've got some nice reflections in that now of these boards above these walnut strips that we've got. So that's really nice. I'm liking that. Okay, so I think we've done some good in this lecture. We've created some new material, so that's nice. So let's go ahead and bring everything back now. I'll open up the ground floor file. Hit the interior and see if we can find that ceiling panel and turn that back on, and let's turn on the first floor as well, and there we go, that's everything back in. Let's have a look at our panels in place. I think that's looking really nice. I think I'm liking that. Alright, so in the next lecture, what should we do next? Let's go ahead and do our sofa next. That'll be a nice thing to do. Let's apply our materials to our sofa. Alright, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 65. And in this lecture, let's start applying materials to our sofa. Or our couch. Call it whatever you call it. Let's apply our materials to it. I think this is probably going to take more than one lecture. I think it's going to take 2, but that's all right. We're learning and we're having fun as we're going, so it's all good. So I think the first thing to do is to go ahead and isolate the sofa. So in the ground floor collection here in the outliner, just select the sofa like this. Right click and select objects and just click on that. All the objects now for the sofa have been selected, so let's hit the / key on the numpad, and there we go. We've isolated the sofa in position. So I think in this lecture let's work on the upholstery, and the next lecture let's work on the hard surfaces, on the what will be walnut, I think. So where shall we start? So I think I'll start with this seat-based cushion here. So I'll select this, and the scale's all good. So I'll tap into edit mode with this one, and I'll press A to select all surfaces. I'll press U, and I'll go for a Smart UV Project. Make sure you've got an island margin, and go ahead and unwrap, and there we go. So now we need to bring in a new material for this. So I'm just going to click on New Material over here. I'm going to call this material sofa upholstery. And I'll hit enter, and there we go. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go ahead and click on our Principled BSDF. Let's add Principled Setup, and let's go find our sofa materials, which will be in textiles, and then sofa upholstery. I'll press A to grab all, and I'll go ahead and principal texture setup. And let's see what we've got here. We can actually tap out of edit mode now so we can see this. And I think let's go ahead over to the mapping node, and again just hover over the first one, press down the left mouse button and just bring the cursor down till you've got all three, and then just increase the scale like this. And let's have a look at this and see what we've got. I'm just going to press Shift B and recenter on this cushion like this. That's better. And see what we've got. Alright, that's looking pretty good. I'll just tap in edit mode one more time. And I'll press A. Wrong cushion, I'll tap out with this one. On this one here, I'll tap into edit mode. Just make sure that the actual UV maps is looking good. And they are, because I just never actually did look at that. So yeah, that's all looking good. So I'll tap out of edit mode, and the scale, am I happy with it? Maybe just go up to maybe 30. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. And yeah, I think I'll leave that about 30, that's all. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's do some more. There we go, look at that. So because we Alt-D'd copies for the other two, the materials and the UV maps have also been applied to these two as well. So that's good, that's saved us some time. So let's select this one now, and let's look at the scale, and the scale's all good. So let's tap into edit mode, and we'll press A and then U and go for Smart UV Project and Unwrap. We can now tap out of edit mode, and we can just hit this one here, and we'll type in sofa and sofa upholstery. There we go. And just like that, we're done. So let's do the same with this one now. The scale's good. Tap into edit mode and press U and Smart UV Project and Unwrap, and go ahead and add our sofa material. There we go, and that's done. Okay, should we go ahead and do that now to the backrests? Let's do those two. So we'll grab the first one, tap into edit mode, and we'll press A and U and Smart UV Project and Unwrap. And we will find our sofa material and go ahead and apply sofa upholstery, and there we go. Okay, let's just work our way through these. Sofa material, and there we go. And there we go. And we'll do this one now as well. And there we go. And we'll just keep on working them through. Sorry, wrong button. This one. Sofa upholstery. There we go. And now this one. And the last of these ones now. And there we go, that's all done. So at the moment, they're looking a little darker than I wanted them to, but I'm not sure if that's not actually something to do with our current light. So I'm not going to adjust those just yet. I'm just going to leave those be. But we could actually add a color ramp to this material so that we have an option to do that. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll select the BSDF and the material output. I'll press G. I'll just drag these over a little bit. I'll press Shift A and we'll click on the search for a color ramp and we'll smack that in there like that. Now we can actually, if we want to, just go ahead and make this material darker or lighter, as we wish. But at the moment I'll leave the settings just where they are, and we have the option now to change that if we want. Okay, so now I guess we go for the cushions. So I'll grab this cushion here and I'll tap into edit mode. I'll press A and U and I'll go for a smart UV project and unwrap. So this is going to be new material, so let's hit the plus key over here and let's click on this and let's call this material sofa cushion, and we'll click enter. And now we have our principal BSDF. Let's click on this, add principal setup, and let's go ahead and find our cushion, and here it is. And we'll press A and we'll add principal texture setup, and I'll tap out of edit mode and see how that looks. And that looks amazing. That's fantastic. I really like that. That's absolutely perfect. And again, because we've got some Alt Ds, we've actually got our materials applied to our other cushions already as well. So that's a bonus. So let's select this one now and let's tap into edit mode and we'll press A and U and smart UV project. Unwrap the cushion and we'll click on this one here and we'll click on sofa and sofa cushion, there it is, and that's our material applied, and that's looking good. Just like that, we've got all the materials applied to our sofa, so that's cool. But we need to apply maybe a slightly different material to our piping, so let's do that next. So let's select this cushion here and we'll tap into edit mode, and let's go ahead and select maybe one little face on this piping here. I'll hold down shift and select another one on this one, and with those two selected I'll hold down control and then hold down plus until we've selected the piping on this piece. There we go, that's all selected. So with that done, I'll now hit the plus key over here and I'm going to call this I'll call this sofa upholstery as well, so I'll click on this one here and I'll type this in, sofa upholstery. And what I'll do now is I'm actually just going to click on this button here to make this a separate material, so I'll click on that. So now that we can modify this material without changing the color of the main sofa, but we do need to assign over here, so I'll go ahead and hit assign. And now we can actually tap out of edit mode and we can zoom in a little bit. We can use our color ramp here now to darken the piping and just get a slight contrast change in these two cushions. And there we go, that's worked out a treat. That's fine. So now we'll just work our way down the line, repeating this process. So I'll select this cushion, tap into edit mode, grab this one here, hold shift and maybe grab this one as well, hold down control, hold down plus and expand on our selection. Once we've done that, let's hit the plus key and let's hit this little drop down here. Let's type in here sofa upholstery 01 and go ahead and assign, and there we are. So there's now the material applied to our piping. Let's do another one. Select this one, tap into edit mode, select this surface, hold down shift and select one over here as well. Hold down control and plus and expand on our selection. Once we've done all that, hit the plus key and grab this little drop down, type in here sofa upholstery 01, there it is, and go ahead and assign, and there we go. And then I'll go ahead and do one more. So I'll select this one. Actually, let's do a base. Let's come over here and we'll zoom in a little bit. And this material is looking fantastic, actually, by the way. Anyway, let's tap in and let's deselect everything and then just grab one on this one, hold shift and grab one on the lower piping, hold control and plus and expand on that selection. And when that cursor stops moving, it's a good indicator we've selected all the piping. And now that we've done that, let's go ahead and hit the plus key over here. And let's hit the drop down and let's find that sofa 01. Sofa upholstery 01 and go ahead and assign. And there we go. And that's done. And it's also actually applied the material to these other two instances, so that's good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pause the video because I think hopefully you've got the hang of doing this. It's really not too difficult, and if not, just rewind the video slightly and just check out how I did it one more time. So I'll go ahead and pause the video right now, and when you see me next, all these pipings will have been applied. Okay, so I'm back again, and that's all the materials applied, or all our upholstery materials anyway, to our hard surfaces, and I think they're looking really good actually. There's a lot of detail in that. It's looking really nice. I love these pillows. I really like this material. It's really cool. Okay, so now that we've done that, in our next lecture we'll start applying all our walnut material to our hard surfaces. Alright, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 66, and in this lecture let's apply our wood material to our sofa. I think the first thing I'm going to do though is play around with our HDRI. If you recall back to the lecture when we sort of installed the HDRIs, I downloaded two. I downloaded this one and I downloaded another one, and I want to try that one just to see if the light is a little flatter and to give us a more colour accurate view of our timber that we're going to create for our sofa. So I'll come over here where it says object and I'll hit this and I'll go to world, and now I'll select this little file on this Cape Hill and just select this, and I'll go to the Canon one. We're currently in Cape Hill, and you can see here even the image that this one's a bit flatter, so I'm going to do this one and I'm going to click open image, give it a minute to apply, and there we go. And now we have slightly more sort of flatter light, which might give us a more accurate idea of our colour. I'll bring the background down to probably around 1.5 as well, something like that. And now we have a more accurate idea of what these colours actually are. Alright, so let's go ahead and apply our colour. So first of all, let's go back from world here, back to object. And let's select, well, let's turn off our upholstery. So let's come over to the sofa. And let's turn off seat bases and upholstered backs and loose cushions. So we just have the woodwork here. Now let's select the base here and have a look at it, and the rotation's out. So let's press Ctrl A and apply rotation and scale. There we go. Let's tap into edit mode with it, and let's press A and then U, and let's do a smart UV project. Make sure you have an island margin, 10 or 20, that'll be fine, and go ahead and unwrap. Alright, let's have a look at our UV maps here and see that they're all laid out nicely, and I think that's looking good. That's looking nice and efficient. Alright, so let's create our material. So let's come over here to material properties and let's hit the little plus sign. And let's click on new. And let's name this what, sofa? Sofa material. Oh, let's just call it sofa wood material. And click enter. Let's select our Principled BSDF, go over to Node Wrangler, hit Add Principled Setup. Go to wherever your textures are being hidden. Wow, I've clicked one too many times, I think. So Udemy course 2, take 2. There we go, back to where I need to be. And I'll click on textures, and I'll click on wood, and I'll look for my sofa material. There it is. And I'll press A to select all of those and add Principled Texture Setup. Alright, so the first thing I kind of notice is that the rotation isn't good. So let's go over to the mapping node, and on the rotation here, let's go ahead and spin this around until we're facing more like 90 degrees. There we go, that's cool, that's looking good. And let's have a look at the scale as well. So I'll actually just hover over the top one, press down the left mouse button and drag down until all three are selected, and now increase the scale to see if we can find a more accurate number. Something that's looking good. Let's see what that looks like. And I'd say that's looking pretty good like that. Maybe I'll select this middle one here, and I'll go over to the UV map and I'll grab it. And I just want to do something a bit different with it, so I'll move this one over, see if we can find a slightly different board, and that's looking good. Maybe I'll rotate it slightly just to give it a bit of interesting grain. There we go, and that's absolutely fine. Let's have a look over here now. I mean, these ones won't be seen, so I'm not overly worried. So let's just inspect the edges, and they're looking good. Let's inspect this edge, and maybe I want to do something with this. It's a little bit repeated. The sort of pattern is repeated there. So let's grab it here on the UV map and just try moving this around until we get something that's better. Just like that, that's fine. Okay, so that's cool. Let's tap out of edit mode with that. And I think I'm happy with that one. Don't think there's anything else I want to do to that one. I could look at these here. Let's tap in again and I'll select this one and this one and this one, and I'll grab all three and I'll just try rotating those 90 degrees and click enter and just see how that looks. Do I prefer that? Yes, I think I do. I'm going to leave that just like that and tap out. There we go, that's cool now. Okay, so let's work on the top one next here. So let's look at the scale, and the scale's all good, so let's tap into edit mode with it. And let's press A, and then U, and Smart UV Project, and unwrap. And here it is right here, looking good. So we can come to this little drop down here this time, and we can type in sofa, and we're looking for sofa wood material, and click on that. We can see what it looks like and see if there's anything we want to do. It's looking a little bit repeated here. I don't think I like that much. So I'll press A and I'll go over to the UV map and I'll just grab all of it and just press S and just try scaling this down to see if we can get something looking a bit more interesting. Maybe there, like that. Let's see. Do I like that? It doesn't look good. I don't think that's very convincing, and this is quite a high profile piece. This back here will be seen, so I want to make sure it looks good. So I will grab everything again and I'll try scaling it up a little bit again to reduce the size of the wood, and we could try moving it around in the X and see if we can find something a bit more nice. Try rotating it. We could try selecting individual pieces. Maybe scale this one. Maybe scale it in the X, see if that works. We're still getting quite a few repeats. I don't think I like it. I don't think I like that very much. It's just not convincing at all. It's just too repeated. These knots are in a perfect line going down. In here, it just doesn't look good. We need to do something about this. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press A again, and I'm going to reset the UV map. So I'll press U, and I'll go for a Smart UV Project. I'll want to go ahead and unwrap, just to rescale the UV map and kind of default that again. And I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'll just go over to just shade mode for a minute, just to viewport shading solid mode. And I'm going to apply an extra set of curves around here so we can break this into 2 boards. I think that's not a bad idea. So let's make sure we can select edges. So let's press 2. Let's grab an edge here, and we'll press Z as well. Let's go into wireframe. And I think let's go ahead and select all of these. Whoops. I'll go over here to selector, and I'll just hold down the left mouse button and come over to select box. That's better. And I'll select all of these like this, and I'll press Control R and see if we can get a loop in there. And it allows us to put 1 loop in, so that's a start. So where should we go next? Let's see if we can get another loop in. So I will select all of these edges here, and I'll come over to this side now, and I'll select maybe all of these edges here. And now I'll press Control R, and I'll go ahead and put another loop in like this. Let's do this one last time. Let's select all of these edges here, and all of these edges here. And let's press Control R and go ahead and apply that. And there we go. So now we kind of split that component into 2 boards, and I think that might be nice. Alright, so let's tap out of edit mode with this now. And let's go back to solid. And let's go back to rendered as well. And let's see what we can do. And I think the next thing we can do on this sofa material board right here is I'm going to create a new material on this. So I'm going to hit this little button here so we can make some alterations to the scale on this one on the mapping node without affecting this other one here. And now what I'm going to do is tap into edit mode with this one. And I'm going to grab this board here, press 3 so I can select faces. I'll grab this board here. Actually, before I do that, sorry, I'll come down to the scale and I'll hold down the left button and select all 3 boards, and I go ahead and alter the scale and see if we can find something more pleasing without affecting the scale on the other boards. And that's not bad. That's okay now. Something around there will be nice. So now that I've done that, I'll select this board on its own now, and I'll come over to the X-axis and just try moving this up. And see if we can get something like this. And now maybe rotate it slightly. Maybe take it down a little bit. And maybe scale it a tiny bit. Scale it again. Scale it. Increase the size of it, which will reduce the scale of the object. And let's see what that looks like. And that's better. I think that's a little more convincing. So this board is actually not as bad now. Now we're starting to get something I'm preferring, and I'll just try moving this board down in the X-axis and see if we can get something that looks good. And I'll try rotating this one. Maybe up like this. And there we go, that's better. That's looking better. I think I'm liking that now. So the next thing I need to do maybe is actually go ahead and just grab the end grains here now, and we'll do a rotate on those, just so the end grain direction is going the right way, and that's looking better. And you won't see these boards here, so I'm not overly worried about those, so that's okay. You may see a tiny bit of these ones, so let's have a look at these ones, and they're not too bad actually. I like this board's nice. Maybe I'll just move this around a little bit and rotate it a little bit, and I can try adjusting the scale. Just play around with the scale really until you get something pleasing. And there we go. And it's just avoiding too many repeats. And I think I'm happy with that now. That's looking a lot better. Okay, so I'll tap out of edit mode with that and just take one final look at it. And I think I'm pleased with that. So let's select these ones here, these feet. Let's check the scale. That's all good. So let's tap into edit mode. And let's press A and U, and let's go for a smart UV project and click on unwrap. Let's hit the little drop down here and let's type in sofa. And shall we go for sofa wood material or sofa wood material 01? It doesn't really matter. I'll go for sofa wood material, I think, and see what we get. Let's have a look. Let's just see what that looks like. Am I happy with the scale of that? No, I don't think I am. I'm going to press A for all again. I'm going to grab all of these and I'm going to go ahead and scale this down slightly to increase the grain size. And let's see what that looks like. And that's looking pretty good. So we need to actually turn these ones because the grain directions don't run through. So let's grab this one here and this one here, and let's try rotating those about 90 degrees. And that's looking better that way now. And let's see if we need to do the same with this one. So let's grab maybe... Are we happy with the wood scale? And I think I am. So we just need to actually just sort out these end grains here, this one here and this one here, and let's rotate those as well, just around the 90 degree mark. And there we go. Maybe select this one and maybe just move it around a little bit until it's sort of looking about right. That's better. See, that's kind of lining through there now like that. And there we go. That's that all done. Let's bring back the cushions and see how we're looking. And let's tap out of edit mode and see what the final effect is. And yep, I'm liking that. That's looking really nice. Okay, so let's hit the / key now and bring everything back and see what we've got. And yeah, I'm liking that. I'm liking the contrast in wood material. I didn't want this to be walnut as well. It was just all going to be too dark. So I'm pleased I've gone with a lighter material there. If you prefer the darker material, you could use the walnut from this TV panel on this and see how you look. But I just wanted to get some grain coming through. And I felt that the walnut was going to be, the grain was going to be a little bit lost on the sofa. But that's entirely up to you. You can go for it and maybe switch some of these wood materials around if you prefer. Okay, so what should we do in the next lecture? I think we're going to do a tiny bit of modelling in the next lecture. What we need to do is we can apply a texture to our stairs here. And I think it'd be nice to see a handrail on the staircase, just to explain that it is a staircase and to sort of lead off into the distance and show what it's doing. So let's go ahead and do that in the next lecture. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 67. And in this one, let's apply a wood material to our staircase. And then I've been thinking about it as well, and I think I'd like to show a handrail as well, sort of leading up the stairs, just to indicate more what this is here. Because from this angle you can't really see that it's a staircase. So I think a handrail will kind of just suggest what this actually is. We'll just indicate more what's happening in here, and also indicate that it's leading upstairs. Alright, so I think the first thing we could do is we could just sort of turn off the first floor. Let's hide that, so we just have this like this. And I think all we actually need is the external walls and the stairs. So let's select both those items and then hit / on the numpad. And let's press 7 so we see this in the orthographic view. And let's have a look at the stairs. I think I would like to make sure that I've got a tiny little gap either side of the staircase between the walls and the stairs. So to do that, let's select the staircase on its own, and then let's press S, then X, and just bring it down a little bit, like this. And now reposition it until there's a gap, just a small gap, either side of this staircase. Let's have a look, and yeah, that's fine. I might try and even up a little bit more, so I'll press G and then X and just bring that over slightly, and that's looking good, just like that. Okay, so now we need to create a material for this. Let's look at the scale first, and the scale's out, so let's press Ctrl A and apply rotation and scale. And let's go ahead and tap into edit mode with it. And let's press A and then U, and let's do a smart UV project. Make sure you've got an island margin and go ahead and unwrap. Okay, so let's create a new material. So let's come over here to the object properties. To the material properties, and let's click on new, and let's go ahead and name this stair material. There we go, and click enter. Okay, so let's grab our principal BSDF and let's add principal setup. Go to wherever your materials are, click on textures, click on wood, and it's up to you really. I mean, you could use any of these you want. I'm going to use the light oak distressed, but you can use whatever you want. But I'll click on the light oak distressed, I'll press A, and I'll principal texture setup, and there we go. So now that we've done that, I think we can go ahead and isolate the stairs on their own. So I'm just going to grab the stairs. I'm going to hit the / which will bring everything back for a second. And then I'll hit it again, and that will isolate the stairs for us on their own. Okay, so I think the next thing we need to do is actually look at the scale on this and see if we're happy. And the scale looks way too big. Ignore the sides. We don't really need to worry about what the sides look like. They'll never be seen. We're just worried about what's called the tread here, and then the riser boards as well. So these are what we're kind of looking at. Let's go over to the scale on this. And if you just hover over the first one, hold down the left mouse button and drag down, we can adjust the scale until we get something that looks about right. And I would say that's pretty nice now. I think I'm happy with that wood grain scale on those. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So now that we've done that, we just need to change the direction of the wood grain, because at the moment they're opposed to each other. So I'm going to do these faces. I'm going to select these ones and rotate those. So I'll tap into edit mode and I'll grab maybe this face. I'll hold shift and I'll carry on grabbing. And I'll grab these ones here, and this one, and this one. And let's grab these as well. And I think we'll just do those ones to begin with, and I'll grab them here in the UV map, and I'll press R and 90 and click enter. And let's see if that looks better, and that's improved things no end. That's looking good now. Okay, let's have a look at these ones and just see if we want to rotate these as well. So I'll select this one and then this one, grab the UV maps, press R, 90 and click enter. And there we go. That's altered our wood grain directions to look a little more realistic. Okay, I think there's something else I'd like to do with this. I think I'd like to add that bevel node in our texture sets to create some shading and some darkness on these edges like we've done before. So let's do that next. Let's scroll out a little bit. And let's grab the material output and bring that over a little bit more. And now let's sort of drag this up a little bit. And now let's press Shift A and search for the bevel node. And there it is. And we'll bring that in like that. And we'll go again, we'll press Shift A and search for the geometry node, and we'll bring that in. Shift A again and search for the vector math node and bring that in. Go again, Shift A, search for color ramp, bring that in, and one last one, Shift A, search for the mix shader, and we'll bring that one in too. Okay, so let's go ahead over to this, and here on the vector, let's click on this, and let's go for dot product, and let's plug the normal into the vector, and the normal here on the bevel as well into this vector. Let's plug the value here into the FAC here, and let's plug this into the FAC on the mix shader, and let's go ahead and add this. Actually, for a minute, let's unplug from here and plug this directly into the material output. Like this, and let's see what we get. I think the next thing we can do is come down here to our displacement, and here on the scale, let's bring this down to a 1, and that's helping things. And now let's go back up, and here on the radius on the bevel, let's increase this. And that's looking good at around 5. See some darkness to these edges now and some shading going on, and yeah, I think I'm liking that. You can see it on this back edge too, which would make sense. Yeah, I think that's looking good. Okay, we could go over to the color ramp and we could tweak this. We could bring this over to increase the darkness, and now we can see some real shading going on in these edges, which is a good look. Okay, so after we've done that, let's go ahead now and plug this in for real. So let's plug the color ramp into the FAC on the mix shader, and let's plug the principal BSDF into the bottom one of the mix shader like this. And now go ahead and plug it back into the material output. And now we've got a nice looking staircase. We can go ahead and adjust this some more if we want. We can bring in some lightness or some darkness into this bevel. And there we go. I think I'm happy with that. That's looking good. I like the contrast of a slightly more distressed, older looking staircase in a new building. I think that's looking nice. It's going to give a little bit of character. Okay, so let's bring everything back now and see what we've got. And see how that staircase looks in situ. And yeah, I think that's looking good. Okay, so we do have the handrail to do, but I think it's going to take quite a while, so I think we'll pick that up in the next lecture. So I'll just press Ctrl S just to do a save, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 68, and let's do our handrail now. Let's have a go at doing this. So we're going to do a little bit of modelling. We haven't done that in a while, so it'll be good to sort of do a little refresher on this and do a little bit. So let's do that. So I think the first thing I actually want to do is I want to work back here in just viewport shading mode in solid display. So let's do that. And I think all I really need is the staircase, so I'll just grab that and I'll hit the / to isolate it. Okay, now that we've done that, let's actually press Shift A and let's bring in a simple plane. Let's grab it and bring it over in the X-axis. And let's rotate that in the Y, so we'll press Y, 9, 0, enter. And straight away, let's go ahead and scale that down in the Z. So we'll press S and Z and go ahead and bring that down to something like this. Let's bring this up like this, and let's press 3 on the numpad to get us the orthographic view of the side. And now let's go ahead and bring this up some more. And I think I'm going to scale it down a little bit more on the Z, so I'll press S and Z and bring this down. And I'd say that's about right. And I'll bring that up some more. And now I'll go ahead and rotate that. So I'll press R and rotate that until it's running sort of parallel with the staircase, something like that. I'll bring it down a little bit more on the Z and just eye it up to sort of what looks like would be the right height for the handrail. Come down a little bit more, rotate that a little bit more, and I would say that is about right. Okay, now that we've done that, go up to here, and here in this one, in the global transformation, click on this and go over to normals. And once you've done that, go ahead and scale that up in the Y, so press S and Y, and just go ahead and pull that up like this. And I'd say that looks about right to me. Okay, so let's look at the scale and it's out. So let's press Ctrl A and apply rotation and scale. And now let's go ahead and tap into edit mode. Okay, let's press 2 so we can do edge selection. And let's go ahead and grab this edge here. And let's press E for extrude. And now just press escape. And now just go ahead and press R and rotate slightly like this. And now go ahead and pull this down until you get something looking like that. And rotate it a little bit more. Maybe just pull it down slightly in the X and rotate it again. And I'll leave it just like that. Okay, so now I've done that, I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to press E, and then I'm going to press escape. Then I'm going to press R and rotate this around like this. I'll bring this down a little bit. And I'll press R and I'll rotate it again. And maybe bring it over again. And maybe just bring it down a tiny bit like this. And just bring it back as well. Rotate it again until we get this running. We want to go level with these lines on this grid, so we'll rotate that again. And maybe just bring this forward. Whoops. Until we get that something like that. Maybe rotate it a little bit more. Bring it forward a little bit. And then that's looking good. I think I'm pleased with that. Just pull it down a tiny bit. And there we go. I think that's fine now. And now that I've done that, I'll press E. And then I'll press escape. And I'll go ahead and bring this forward like this. And I'll just eye it up with the grid, I think, at this stage. I think that'll be absolutely fine. Let's zoom out so we can see the staircase, and now just bring this over like this until we're level with it. Looks like this line here. So let's have a look at this up close and see what we need to do. I'm just going to press R, just rotate this line a little bit. And now just bring this up to that edge like that. And there we go. That now should be absolutely fine. Alright, so now what do we want to do? I think the next thing we could do actually is... I'll press 3 again. And I'm just going to grab this edge like this. I'm going to right click and I'm going to dissolve that edge. I don't think we really need it now. And now that we've done that, I'm going to grab these faces. So I'll press 3 so I can select faces. I'll grab this one, hold shift, grab this one and this one. And I'm now going to press E and Z and go ahead and bring this out like this. To get a little bit of thickness to this handrail. And there we go, I think that's about right to me. I'll come up here again to orientation, click on this and go back to global. And I think the next thing I want to do is I want to create like an offset on the back, so I think we'll do that next. So I think let's press 2 so we can select edges again, grab this edge here, let's press Ctrl R and let's scroll the mouse wheel once to get this like this, and there we go, that's absolutely perfect. Let's press 3 and then we'll grab this face here, hold shift and grab this one and this one, and now let's press E and then X, E and X, and go ahead and bring this out like this. And by doing that, we've got a kind of a handrail profile now. Alright, so where do we want to go next with this? I think the next thing I'm going to do is let's go ahead and tap out of edit mode with it for a minute, and let's press 7. And let's go ahead and bring that over now so it's in the right position. Bring it over to the staircase and see where that is. And let's press G and X and bring that over like this, and there we go. Let's have a look at this in position and see how it looks and see if there's anything else I want to do. I think that's absolutely fine. I'm not too worried about the top because I don't think I'm going to do any animations or renders around this area, so I'm not too worried about the handrail, what it does up there. Just want it to look good down here. So now that I've done that, I'm actually going to think the next thing I'm going to do is let's tap into edit mode with this, and let's make sure we can grab edges, and I'll press 2 and I'll grab this one here, and I'll hold shift and grab this one here, and I'll press Ctrl B and I'll bevel those edges. I'll scroll the mouse wheel a couple of times to get some extra edges to that, and I'll take that to something like that. I think that looks good now. Next thing I'm going to do is come up to here now, and I'm going to press 1 so we can select vertices, and I'm going to grab this vertices here, hold shift and grab this one. I'm going to right click and I am going to merge vertices in the center, and there we go. Do the same with this one, hold this one, right click and merge vertices in the center. Let's press 2, grab this edge here, press Ctrl B and go ahead and bevel that edge as well. Put a slight bevel in there that looks maybe something like that. I'm going to go over to the bevel here and maybe reduce the segments on this one to maybe a 3, and that looks good. I think I'm happy with that now. Alright, so now that we've done that, I think the next thing I want to do is make a duplicate of this. So I'll press 3 so I can see this from this side, and I'll press Shift E and Y, and I'll bring a copy out like this. Now I'm going to rotate it, so I'm going to press R, 180, and click Enter. Bring this over like this a little bit more. Let's press 7 on the numpad to see this in the orthographic view. And let's rotate this, so we'll press R, 90. That was the wrong way, so what I'll do is I'll hit negative on the keypad to change that around, and there we go. And now let's bring this forward in the Y. And to bring it back a little bit until we get that where we want it. And let's see what that looks like here, see if we've got that the right orientation. And we have, but it's way too high, so let's bring that down. And bring this over like this, and bring it down like this. Okay, let's press 7 to see this from above again. And let's go ahead and bring this over in the X. So I'll press G and then X and bring this over like this. And now let's bring it closer to the wall. So let's press G and Y and bring this closer to what will be the wall. There we go, like that. Alright, so let's see what that looks like now. And let's go ahead now and just take that up a little bit. So let's grab it like this. Let's press GZ and go ahead and take this up like this. We could press 1 on the numpad to get the orthographic view from the front. And we could press GZ again and go ahead and just bring that up until we're in the right position like that. And there we go, that's good. Alright, so what do we want to do now? I suppose the next thing we need to do is, obviously this is far too long. So let's actually just collect this one and let's tap into edit mode. And let's make sure we can select faces, so let's press 3. And let's select this face, this one, and this one. And if we tried moving the gizmo right now, it's going to do weird things for us. So let's click up on this again, and let's go back to normals. And let's pull this up here in the Z axis like this. And just see where we want to end this. And I think I want to go to, I would say, about there like that. I think that looks good. Okay, so let's tap out of edit mode with that one, and let's look at the scale on that one. And the scale is a little bit out, so I'll press Ctrl A and apply rotation and scale. Let's just check this one more time, and that one's good. Let's find these items now. And they're here in the ground floor. Let's click on interior, and they're right here. So I think the next thing we can do is actually join those together. So let's press Ctrl J and join them into one. Let's rename this as stair handrail. And we'll go ahead and click enter. And now let's go ahead and drag this up to, it's in the ground floor collection, but it's not hidden in sofa. So let's grab it here and bring it up until we go into ground floor collection, and there we go. Now it's sitting on its own in that folder. So we can collapse the sofa and we can collapse the interior, and it's right there. Okay, so now that we've done that, what do we want to do next? I think the next thing we could do is go ahead and apply a bevel to this and see how that looks. So let's collect the item, and we know the scale's good, so let's go over to modifiers. Let's add a modifier, go to generate, go to bevel, and let's see what that looks like. Let's go ahead and increase the decimal point. So let's put a 0 to the right and click enter. And let's go ahead and do that again. And I think let's increase the segments. So let's go from a 1 to maybe a 4. And let's turn that 1 here into maybe a 3. Click enter and see how that looks. And am I happy with that? We could also right click and do a shade auto smooth on it. And I would say that is about right. I think that's basically where I want that now. Okay, so we'll go ahead and apply our bevel modifier. And there we go, that's all done. So that's our handrail models. So now let's go ahead and apply some textures to this. So let's go back over to our rendered view and let's see what we can do. So what material should we use on this? I think that's the next thing we need to think about. Let's select the item anyway, and let's hit this little drop down here, and let's type in walnut. That's what material I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for walnut bed frame and click on that. And see what we've got. So I need to do some scaling on this, and I want to use the actual mapping node here. I'm going to just drag this up so we've got a better view. But I can't do that because I'm going to affect other components with the same texture. So let's go ahead and create a new version of this. So we'll click on this here. And now we've created a new version. We won't affect any other components with this texture. Let's come on over now to the scale, to the mapping node. Come down here to scale. Hold down the left mouse button and drag down to select all three. And now let's pull the scale down to where we want it to be. What we could do, which we've forgotten to do, is let's tap into edit mode with it. Let's press A for all and U, and let's do a smart UV project and go ahead and unwrap. And now it looks better. And let's see what our scale looks like. I think I still want to go some more, so I'll grab all three and increase the scale again. Nope, let's take it down until we get something nice. And I think I will leave it about there like that. Okay, so let's look at the rotation on this. Let's try rotating in the Z. and swing that round until we get a nice looking result, which is about there, like that, I'd say. I'll go back to the scale now and just try increasing this a little bit. To something like that, I think. And now I think we need to start individually orientating the grain on each of these faces. So I'll grab this face, I'll grab this one and this one. I'll zoom in a little bit on those. And I'll grab them now in the UV map. And I'll go ahead and rotate those. And there we go, that's looking kind of good like that. Let's have a look at the scale and see if we're happy with that. And I think that's fine. Or shall I reduce it a bit? Maybe I'll reduce it a bit. Let's grab all three of those again. And let's hit S and try just scaling these up a little bit like this. Could take this up a little bit in the y-axis. And let's see what that looks like. And that looks good to me now. I think I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's grab maybe these faces here now. And this one and this one and this one. And we could also grab these ones here too. And with those selected, we'll zoom into a point where we can see that nicely. Grab them all down here in the UV map and we'll press R and we'll do a rotate until we get the right looking direction on the wood grain. And let's see what that looks like. And yeah, that's looking good to me now. I think I'm liking that. So where should we go next? I think we need to go up the stairs now. So let's select this one, hold shift, grab this one and this one. And with those selected, let's zoom into an angle that looks good. And let's select the UV maps and let's do a rotate on that as well. Until we get the right kind of grain direction on this timber here. And there we go. Let's have a look at that. And yeah, that's looking good. I think I'm pleased with that overall. We can actually have a look at the top one and see if there's anything needs doing with that. We could grab this one and we could do a rotate on this one. Until we get that pretty straight like this. And there we go. So we can also do maybe this one here as well. Grab this one here, grab the UV map, we'll hit R, and we'll just turn this one until it's looking good. And there we go. And now we could do this one as well. Grab this one, grab the UV map, press R, and just turn until we're getting the right results. Just zoom in on this a little bit. And it's actually looking pretty good. Alright, is there any others? This one here as well. Let's grab this one. And let's also grab maybe this one and this one, this one, this one. These as well. And with those selected, we'll grab the UV map and we'll press R and we'll do a rotate on that until we're looking pretty straight. And I think that's looking good. I think I'm happy with that. Okay, let's tap out of edit mode now and see what that all looks like. And yeah, that's looking really good. Let's bring everything back. So I'll hit the / key on the numpad. And we could bring that back and see how that handrail looks. And yeah, I'm really pleased with that. That's doing a lot of good. It's really just showing now what's going on and what's around that corner, kind of leading us up the stairs. So that's really nice. Okay, so I'll bring back the first floor as well. And everything gets really dark. Which I think is a good time to mention in the next lecture. Let's start lighting our scene. So let's start creating some interior lights. Some really nice dynamic controllable lights. Okay, thanks very much. And I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye bye for now. Hello and welcome now to lecture 69, and in this lecture let's have a look at doing our interior lights. The whole scene is looking really good. I'm liking the way this is going, but internally it's all a bit dark, so we need to light this up and start getting some nice lighting going on. So let's make a start on this in this lecture. So I think I'm going to do this back in layout. We haven't been there in a while, but yeah, let's do this in layout mode. So let's click on this. And I think all I really need to start with is this wooden sort of headboard for the bed. So let's select this. Let's hit the / just to isolate that. Alright, so I think the next thing I want to do is grab this and tap into edit mode. And let's just grab maybe a face, maybe this one. Then let's press Shift S and let's bring cursor to the selected. And there we go. That's brought the cursor to where I want it. Okay, I'll tap out of edit mode with that now and sort of make sure it's not selected. And now I'll press Shift A. And I'll bring in mesh and I'll bring in a cylinder. And let's increase the vertices on this. Let's bring this up to maybe even 50. And there we go. Let's leave that just like that. The next thing we could do is actually look to see where this is in our outliner. And it looks like it's here in ground floor walls, and there it is. And that's not what I want at all. So what I'm going to do next is go to the first floor. Maybe click on this. And let's click on, was this bedroom 1 or bedroom 2? I think this was bedroom 1, so let's click on bedroom 1 and expand it. Select this item. And let's go ahead and open a subfile. Let's create a subfile. Click on this. Let's find it. Here it is. Let's double click on it and let's name it bedroom 1 lights. And there we go. Let's click enter. And let's grab this item here. Let's press M. Let's go to collection. And first floor, bedroom 1, and bedroom 1 lights. Let's go ahead and put it in there, and there it is. Let's go ahead now and compress the ground floor. We don't need to see that. And there we go. So there it is there in the bedroom 1 folder. Now that we've done that, let's press S and scale this down. And let's press 7 to see this from above. And let's go ahead and scale this down a little bit more. Let's go over to item here so we can see the size we're at. And it's around 23 centimeters. Let's scale this down to around 15 centimeters. So in Imperial, that's about 6 inches. And there we go, that's close enough, I'm happy with that. With that done, let's scale this down in the Z now, so let's press S and Z, go ahead and scale this down, and let's pull it down as well so we can see it clearly. Okay, maybe we scale it down a little bit more on the Z, so I'll press S and Z and bring this down, and I'd say that's about right like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and isolate that, so I'll hit the /, which will bring everything back, and hit the / again, and it'll isolate that object for us. Let's fix the scale on it, so let's press Ctrl A and apply rotation and scale. And now let's tap into edit mode. Let's press 2 so we can select edges, hold Alt and click on this edge here. Press Ctrl B and let's bevel that edge. Let's scroll the mouse wheel a couple of times to get some more segments in this. And we'll take this to about there like that. And that's looking good. Let's press 3 so we can select faces now. Grab this face here and we'll press E and we'll go ahead and take this up in the Z axis to about there like that. Okay, so I think the next thing I want to do is let's press I and inset this a little bit to around there. And now let's pull this down in the Z. And let's do that again. We're going to repeat this a few times now. And now we'll pull this down in the Z. And let's do that again. Pull this down. And again. And pull this down. And again. We'll be doing this a few times. Make the inset slightly smaller now, making the gaps bigger, something like that. Now pull that down, and again, pull this down, and again, and maybe one more. Pull that down as well. And there we go, that's cool. Let's press 2 so we can select edges, hold Alt, grab this edge here, and let's press Ctrl B and bevel this one too. And there we go, that's cool, just like that. Alright, so let's right click on the item and let's shade auto smooth, and let's see what we've got. We can increase the angle just to soften that edge, and that's worked there. And I don't think we need to actually put a subdivision surface modifier on this. I think it's looking fine just as it is. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can actually go back into shading mode. So let's bring everything back first and see how we're looking. And let's press 7 to go into the orthographic view. And let's press Z and go into wireframe. And let's go ahead and take this back into its final position, which I think will be around about there. I think I'm happy with that there, like that. Okay, let's press Z and let's go back to solid mode. And now I think it's time to go back to shading mode. Alright, so again, let's isolate the object. And now let's start applying some materials to this. So let's go over to Material Properties tab. And let's click on New. And let's call this material, what should we call this material? Let's call this the light bezel. I'm not sure if that's the right term. I think it is, but I'm not sure. But we'll go with it. So now that we've got that, we've got our principal BSDF. And let's go ahead and turn the metallic up high on this. So I'm going to go for quite a chromy looking material. And let's take the roughness down. And we should now, with that, get a nice looking sort of chromy looking material. And that's good. So we can actually maybe increase the IOR to around 2.5. And I think that's good. I'm going to apply a little bit of colour to this. I want to go for almost like a nickel-y colour, so I'm going to take it a little bit into the yellow, but very subtle, just like that. Alright, so that's our kind of base material, and that's fine. So, but now we need a light lens material. So let's hit the plus key here over here, and let's click New, and let's call this the light lens. And click Enter. And let's go ahead and tap into edit mode with it. And let's make sure we're selecting faces. So I'll press 3, select this face here, hold down Control and tap plus until we've selected the entire light lens. And that's it, like that. Once you've got those selected, click on the light lens here and go ahead and assign. Okay, but this is really quite simple. We'll just bring the alpha right down to virtually nothing, and we'll bring the roughness right down to nothing as well. And we'll just take the metallic up just a tiny bit to about there. And there we go. So that is now our light lens. Let's go ahead and tap out of edit mode, and we can take the alpha right down to 0 actually. And that's it, that's our light lens finished. Or should we take the alpha up just a little bit to about there, like that. Alright, so I think now we can go ahead and bring everything back. So let's hit the / key and see what we've got. So the next thing I want to do is tap into edit mode, or just grab this item and tap into edit mode. And let's grab that center a little bit like that. And let's press Shift S. And let's bring cursor to the selected. There we go. Now that we've done that, we can actually tap out of edit mode. And we can press Shift A. And we can bring in a light, and we can bring in an area light. Let's turn the shape from square to disc, and let's reduce the size until it's basically inside the light bezel. Let's take this up a little bit, and there we go. That's the effect that I'm after. Alright, so let's turn the power up, and maybe we'll put this at around 50 for now and see how that looks overall. And let's put a little bit of colour on this. Tiny bit of yellow, just so it's warmed up a little bit. And that is our first light. That's kind of done. Maybe we'll take this a little bit higher to around 75. And that's good. So in the next lecture, let's go ahead and distribute these lights in this bedroom and the other bedroom and the bathroom. Alright, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye bye for now. Okay, hello and welcome now to lecture 70. And yeah, let's carry on distributing our lights in this scene. So what are we going to do? I think first of all, let's just grab... Well, let's go to wireframe. Let's press Z. Let's press Z and let's go to wireframe on this. And now let's just grab... Let's deselect this and then grab the light and the light lens or the light bezel, and now let's hold shift and grab the light itself, and now let's press 7 and let's see this from the plan view, from the orthographic view. Let's turn off the ground floor so we can't see that because it was a little confusing. And now what shall we do? Let's press Alt D and X, and let's bring a copy across now to the opposite side, around about there, like that. When we've done that, let's grab both the lights again now. So let's grab that light and let's grab this one. And let's grab this light bezel too. And let's press 7 again. And with the 2 selected, let's press Alt D and Y, and let's bring those down to about there, like that. Once you've done that, press Shift R to repeat that, and Shift R again, and let's see where that's at, and press Shift R. And can we do one more? We can, just about. So that's our lights in position. So let's go back to rendered mode now. So let's press Z and let's go back to rendered and see how we look. And that's really light in there now. That's is that too light? Have we got too many lights in there? I think not. I think that's okay. So because we used Alt D, these lights are all sharing the same properties. So we can actually go over now to the, we can select a light here, and we can click on the light here on the side, and let's bring the power down. And that will bring the power down on all the lights in one go. And allow us to control our lights to sort of even that light up a little bit. And let's see how that looks. That's a really nice even light in there. I think I'm liking that. I'll bring it down a little bit more again. It's a little too strong. So I brought it down to about 34. And I'll just add a little bit more colour to it, and there we go. I think that's nice now. And now we can see that our floor as well, our polished concrete floor, is starting to look good. That's got a nice effect to it as well. Okay, so that's our first one done. Now you can see in the bedroom lights we have a full set here, and that's good. So what we need to do next is actually select one of the lights and also the bezel on that light, so we'll grab that as well. With those two selected, let's press 7. And let's turn off our middle roof. Let's hide that for now. And in fact, we can go ahead and hide the roof as well. And with that done, this time we're going to press Shift D. So let's press Shift D and X. And let's bring a copy over to this side like this. And now that we've done that, let's actually compress our bedroom 1 file. And let's open up our bedroom 2 file. Select bedroom 2. And let's hit this button here to get to subfolder. Let's find that subfolder. There it is. Double click on it. And let's name this bedroom 2 lights. There we go. Now that we've done that, let's go ahead and select these items here. So let's select the light, and let's also select the bezel, and let's press M, and let's go collection, and first floor, bedroom 2, and bedroom 2 lights. Okay, now that we've done that, we can actually position these. So let's take this over until we're over the actual bed frame, and let's see what that is. Let's actually press 7 to get the plan view, and let's take this back a little bit like this, and we'll also just take it back like this here now as well. Let's press Alt D and Y and bring a copy over to the opposite side. There we go. And let's grab both those copies now. So let's grab that and this one, and the sort of the bezel as well. And let's press 7 again. And let's press Alt D and X and bring that to sort of the middle of the frame like this. And let's press Alt D and X and bring one to the front as well like this. And there we go. So there's our lights in position now in bedroom 2. So let's go ahead now and bring the ceiling back in again, or the roof, isn't it? That's what it's called. And see how our lights look in here. Again, if we want to, we can actually go ahead and just adjust this light. So if we want to turn this up or turn it down, we can do that now. Because we've used Alt D as a command, so all these are sharing the same properties, we can adjust all the lights at the same time to sort of get a balance in here that we're happy with. Alright, so I'll leave that like that now. I'm sort of happy with that one. So the next place I want to go to is the bathroom with this. So let's go over, let's compress this one now. And let's compress bedroom 2 as well. And let's compress bedroom 1, and let's go over to the bathroom and expand that. Let's select the bathroom and let's create a subfolder, and here it is. So let's double click on it and let's rename this bathroom lights and click enter. Okay, so let's select one of the lights here in this room, and we'll grab this light here, and let's also select the bezel. There we go, we've got the 2 items selected. Let's press 7. And let's press Z, and let's go to wireframe. Let's press Shift D and X and bring this over in the X axis like this. And let's take this over like this. until we're in the bathroom, kind of center of that timber framework ceiling. Okay, let's make sure we've got everything selected again, and we do, so let's press 7 again, and now let's press Alt D, and let's press X, and let's bring another light over like this. And now let's press Alt D and X, and let's bring a third light over like this. And there we go, that's cool. So now what we can do is we can actually have a look for those bathroom lights again. And they're right here, but the lights in the bathroom aren't actually in that folder, so that's not worked out for us. So let's deal with that next. Let's select this light here. Oops, let's select this one, and then this one, and let's also select this one and this one, and now let's deselect the ceiling, so I'll hold Control and just sweep over this, and there we go. So now we've just got our 3 lights in our bathroom selected. So I'll press M, I'll go to Collection, First Floor, Bathroom lights, and now they are now in that folder, and that's what we want. So we can collapse that folder, and that's looking good. So let's press Z, and let's go back to rendered view and see how we're looking. Let's see what our bathroom looks like, and that's looking good. Is that too bright in there? Is that all a little too much? It might be a little too much. So we could select maybe just one of the lights, and now we could reduce the power of these to maybe something around there is nice. And we could even now maybe just adjust this color maybe into the blue a little bit, just make this just subtly a bit colder in here. There we go. That's cool, because we've got all this lovely red timber, so that's kind of warming it up. So let's cool the lights down in here, and it brings out some nice colors in this wall. Alright, so that's the lights done now in our first floor. So in the next lecture, let's distribute those same lights on the ground floor. Okay, so let's bring everything back in the model so we can see our progress, and there we go, that's good. And all these lights are now looking really nice, and we can, as we start importing our furniture, if we wish to add more lights, or we wish to reduce power or increase power, or even tilt these lights in certain directions, we can do all these things as we go. But for now, it's enough just to start getting these bedrooms lit. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 71. And yeah, in this lecture, let's go ahead and now put some lighting in on our ground floor inside here. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm finding all these empties connected to these lights a little bit distracting, so let's go ahead and hide those empties. So come up to here and click on this, and just click on extras, and that'll turn those off. You've still got the lights on inside the rooms, but you've just lost the controls for those. Okay, so now that we've done that, what should we do next? I think we could go ahead and we can close the first floor. We can just collapse that, and we can actually hide that now, I think. So we just have something like this. We have this panel here like this, and yeah, that's what I want. Because we're not going to run these like lights that we've run upstairs on the ground floor. We're going to use this recess that we've created in the ceiling. Let's go ahead and bring that back for a minute. So we have this recessed panel just here. So we're going to create some lights behind that. So then this light recess will hopefully illuminate this ground floor and be enough light for it. In fact, we don't have a material on this, so let's grab this one. And let's just hit the little drop down here. And let's find the interior walls. Internal walls, there they are, and click on that. There we go, we've applied a material now to this panel. So let's go ahead and hide that first floor again. And let's select this panel. And the scale's all good in it. So let's now actually tap into edit mode with it. Make sure you're selecting faces. Grab this face here and press Shift D and Z and go ahead and bring that up just a tiny bit like this. Now that we've done that, let's actually separate it from the original model. So let's press P and separate by selection. Now we can tap out of edit mode for a minute. We can select this on its own, maybe press 7 to see this from above. And let's go ahead now and scale that down in the Y. So let's press S and Y and bring the scale in on this by maybe about that much. And now let's do the same in the X, so S and X. And go ahead and bring that in by maybe that much. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is go ahead and do an extrude on that. So let's tap into edit mode again, grab this piece, and let's press E and Z and go ahead and take this up like this. So we create a little bit of thickness to this one. And that's cool. Now that we've done that, let's tap out of edit mode again. And let's create a new material for this. So let's grab this one here. And we can go ahead and delete this internal wall material from it. So let's do that. Let's select it and we'll come on over to the Material Properties tab over here. We'll click on New and we'll call this material, what should we call this? Let's call it Emissive 1. Emissive 1. Is that how you spell emissive? I'm terrible with spelling, I must admit. I don't know if it is or it isn't. Let's just keep it between us. Let's click enter, and there we go. So now with the Principled BSDF, we don't need to add any extra nodes to this. We should be able to do it all just here. Let's bring the roughness down to 0. And let's bring the alpha to about half. Let's add a little bit of metallic. And come over to the emissive, which is down here, and click on this. And let's give this some strength. Maybe around, let's try around 30. And now that we've done that, let's go ahead and bring back the first floor and we'll see what we've got. And now you can see what that's done. That's actually lighting the room really nicely. I'm liking what that's doing. Do we want to add some more color, more strength to that, or less? Or let's add some color to this emissive. Let's bring it a little bit into the, put a bit of warmth to it. There we go, something like that. And shall I bring this down? Let's try bringing it down. Click off for a minute and see what that looks like. And I think I'm going to leave that just like that. I think that's good. Maybe I'll tweak the color a tiny bit. There we go. Let's see what that looks like. And I'm going to leave that just there. I think I'm happy with that now. So I want to apply one more light, and I'm going to apply it to the underside of our stairway handrail. I think that'll be quite effective. So let's go ahead and do that next. Let's maybe just grab this handrail on its own, and let's hit the / key to isolate it. And let's go ahead and tap into edit mode, holding onto it. So I'll hit the tab key. Make sure you've got face selection on, and then select maybe this face here. Hold shift and select this one, and maybe this one, and one last one, which will be this one. And then go ahead now and make sure that over here now in the transformations that you are actually in global. So we straighten up this gizmo, and let's go ahead and press Shift D and Z and go ahead and bring that down just a little bit. And there we go, that's good. So now that we've done that, let's press P to separate our selection, and let's tap out of edit mode with it. let's select those pieces we've just made from duplicating the others, and let's delete the material from this, and let's click on this little drop down here, and let's call this the emissive one. Let's add the emissive material we just created to this. So now that we've done that, let's bring everything back. So let's hit the / key again. And yeah, that's really effective. I'm liking that, how it's illuminating under the handrail. That looks good. So I can see now that the handrail is not really against the wall. I'll press Shift B and I'll recenter to this area like this. And with that done, I'll just grab this one and I'll just press G and Y and just bring it over a little bit. And there we go. Let's try that. See if that's just closed that gap. And it has. That looks better now. Okay, so we've got the lights underneath the handrail. That looks really good. And we've got a nice light recess here, and I'm really liking that. So I think that's all the lights that I want to do on the ground floor. We'll have the TV. I'm going to put a backlighter behind the TV, so that'll add a little bit of lightness there. And we've also got a nice big reading lamp to hang over the back of the sofa, so that'll add a light. And I've also got a nice feature light to go above our kitchen, so that's going to add some light too. So I think that's enough light for the ground floor. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and create a ground floor file for our lightings. Let's open this up and let's click on the ground floor. Let's add a subfile, and where is it? It's there, ground floor 4. Let's grab it and let's go ahead and call this ground floor lighting. And click enter. And now let's go ahead and grab maybe this one and hold Shift and grab the handrail as well and hit H to hide them. And now grab this light here and hold Shift and grab this light here as well. And just deselect the walls. There we go. So we've got the lighting there and we've got the lighting here. So with those two selected, let's press M and let's go to collections and ground floor lighting. And there we go. So now they're in the ground floor lighting file. So I'll press Alt H to unhide the things that I hid. And there we go. So there's our ground floor nicely lit. Okay, so I think in the next lecture, I think that's our lighting pretty much done now. I think we can say that's nicely lit. So in the next lecture, let's create our water in our swimming pool. Alright, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 72. And in this lecture, let's go ahead and see what we can do now with our pool water. See if we can add that. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the cursor to the center of the swimming pool. So let's select the swimming pool and let's press Shift S and let's bring the cursor to the selected. Let's bring in a cube now on that position. So let's press Shift A and mesh and cube. There we go. Let's press 7 so we can see this from the top, and let's go ahead and scale this up in the X. So we'll press S and X and go ahead and bring this up, and SX again and bring this up again, and that's good. And now S and Y and bring this up as well this way, and now bring it forward just a tiny bit until it's just overhanging the wall. So I'll press G and Y and just bring it forward a tiny bit more to about there, like that, I'd say. Okay, once we've done that, let's go ahead and bring this up. Until we're getting to about there, like that. I kind of like the water to be lapping over the top of this, so I think I need to bring this here down a little bit next. So let's grab this item now and tap into edit mode with this one, and maybe we'll isolate this for a moment. Let's go ahead and grab this face here. Let's press Control Shift to expand until we get that little bevel as well. Let's deselect this one, and deselect this one, and select this one, and then go ahead and bring those down. It's actually dragging the wall down. I don't want that. So what's going on here? We've got these little bevel details here. Let's go ahead and deselect those as well. And we'll do the same here. Just maybe deselect those little bevel details. That one there and that one there. And now we should be able to go ahead and just drag that down without too many issues. And there we go, that's fine. Alright, so now let's tap out of edit mode with this one. And let's go ahead and bring everything back. And maybe we just lift the pool water up now a little bit. Just a tiny bit. And that should be good. About there looks good to me. Okay, so now that we've got that, maybe let's have a look at the scale, and the scale's out. So let's press Control A and apply rotation and scale. And let's go over to the material properties and let's click on New. And let's call this one Pool Water. Oh, I'll turn my caps off and try that again. Pool Water. There we go. And click Enter. I'll get there in the end. Okay, now we've done that, we've got our principal BSDF, of course, and we've got our material output, and we're going to create a procedural texture for our water. So I think the first node, I'm just going to drag this edge up a little bit, so we've got a large area in the material editor tab. And I think the first node I'm going to bring in is going to be a noise texture. Let's go ahead and bring that in. So let's press Shift A and search for a noise texture. And there it is, and we'll bring that in and maybe put it over here somewhere. I'll grab these two and give myself a little bit of space, bring these over. Maybe just grab the material output and pull that up like that. And now I'll grab this noise texture on its own, and I'll come over to the node wrangler and I'll add texture setup. And that'll put me a mapping node and a texture coordinate node on these. Now that I've done that, let's actually go ahead and plug the UV map in instead of the generated into the vector, so that it listens to our UV map. And that's the point. Let's actually UV map our cube. So let's select it, tap into edit mode, press A for all, and U, and let's do a smart UV project. Make sure we've got an island margin and go ahead and unwrap. Okay, that's cool. We can tap out of edit mode again with this. Alright, now that we've done that, what should we do next? Let's put a bump node in, so let's press Shift A and search for a bump node, and there we go. Let's bring that in as well and drop this in. We can actually plug the factor here into the height on the bump node, and now we need, let's bring in a glass BSDF. Let's press Shift A and search for a glass BSDF. Let's plug that in here as well, and let's go ahead and plug the normals from the glass BSDF into the normals, plug the bump normal into the glass BSDF normal. And let's also bring in another one. Let's press Shift A and search for a transparent BSDF. And there it is. Let's bring that in as well. And now we need to sort of blend all these together. So let's bring in a mix shader. So let's press Shift A and search for a mix shader. We've got one there. So we'll bring this in like this. And now we can go ahead and we can plug the BSDF here into the top slot of the mix shader. And we can plug the transparency BSDF into the lower slot like this. And now we can go ahead and plug the shader, the mix shader, into the top one of the material output. And now already we're starting to get something that's resembling pool water. Yeah, let's grab this item and let's tap into edit mode with it for a moment. And let's press 2 so we can select edges. Grab this edge here and let's put a bevel on this. So let's press Control B and let's go ahead and bevel this edge slightly. And maybe not much, maybe something like that, and increase the segments to maybe a 4 or a 5. 4 should be good. And there we go, that's cool. So we can tap out of edit mode with that now, and there we go. Okay, so what do we do next? A thing we could do with doing now is just tweaking the water here. I'll put some different waves in this than we've currently got. So let's go ahead and in the scale and the noise texture, let's go ahead and increase this. Let's try it at 50, see what that looks like. And already we're starting to get something a bit more effective. I might up that a little bit more again, maybe to around a 60 or 65. Maybe try that. Yeah, that's looking all right. And let's bring the detail down a little bit. Let's see what that does. And that's okay, I'm liking that. And let's bring the roughness down a little bit because it is water. It is a water texture, so it's not going to be sharp texture. There we go, bring that down a little bit. And let's put a little bit of distortion in it. And see how that looks. We'll just leave, we can always come back to that after. So let's bring the strength down on the bump node. Actually, let's take that right down to the bottom like that, so it's absolutely glass flat for a minute. And now let's go ahead and just take that up a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Maybe a bit more than that. And there we go, that's cool. We're starting to get now something which is starting to resemble pool water, so that's cool. Alright, so we could actually, what could we do next? We could look at adjusting the factor on the mix shader. So that is going more now to the glassed BSDF. And if we go this way, we're going to the transparent. So the transparent on its own is no good at all. So we'll take this closer, I think, to the glass BSDF and see what look we get. And I think overall that's looking pretty good. We could look at the IOR, maybe bring this down slightly and see what we get. And that's not bad around there, actually. That's looking okay. So we could bring in another node now. Let's try bringing in a light path node. So press Shift A and search for, let's type this in, a light path node. Let's bring this in as well. And let's plug the shadow ray into the factor of the mix shader and see what results we get with that. And that's not ideal just yet. Let's actually try bringing the IOR around. So let's take the IOR down here and see what we get. Let's maybe add a bit of roughness to this and see if that helps. And let's try tweaking this around. And see what we get. And how's that? That's looking pretty good. I think now we need to see if we can do anything down here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a volume absorption node to the principal BSDF. Let's do that. Let's press Shift A and search for volume absorption node. There we go. And plug this in like this. And now let's add a add shader node. So let's press Shift A and search for an add shader node. And we'll grab this like this and we'll plug the BSDF into the top one of the add shader node. And now we can plug the volume into the base one of the add shader node and then plug this into the volume here like this. And see if we start to get a nice appealing pool water. I think I'm going to play around with the scale. Maybe try taking this. Do we want to take it up or down? Maybe down a little bit. And let's try taking the strength down a little bit. And there we go. That's pretty nice now. I'm liking that. We could try adjusting the IOR here again now. At 9, it's just too reflective. So I think we were going the right way, actually. I don't think it was far off. And that's not bad just there. We're getting some reflection now from the house, so that's nice. Try tweeting a bit higher. Maybe that's too much. Maybe we'll leave that at around 12 or 13. I think that's about right. Okay, so there's pretty much our pool water. We can, if we want to, we can carry on playing around with this. You can play around with the roughness of the water. We could take this down. And you can always play around with the scale and the detail to try and get the results that you want. I encourage you really, just play around with the settings, particularly here in the noise texture, just to get the kind of results that you're liking. I think I'll just up that back again. I think I prefer that quite high. And that's looking better, I think, just there. Yeah, I'm liking that. I'll leave that alone like that. Okay, so there's our pool water in place. So in the next lecture, I think it's time to start importing models into our scene, start importing furniture. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.